called Pablo Sultana and I'm from Clean and Green. Clean and Green's a group that's been running now for over 3 years, a voluntary community group set up for people like myself who wanted to support litter picking and environmental volunteers across the north of the borough. And in that time we've got over 400 members. We've picked up we've collected over 3,000 bags of litter. Hear the birds singing. You think, what a wonderful place this is. Why shouldn't we want to look after these special oases of greenery? So this is why we come out and we spend our time and our energy picking up other people's rubbish. So we shouldn't have to do it, of course not. And people say, look, that's a nappy there, I think. Why, people say, why should the volunteers do it? It's the council's job. Well, I for one know that the council doesn't have the resources and the money to spend on picking up people's waste, and why should they? And why should my scant tax money go on picking up people's crap that they shouldn't have to do any case? I'd rather our money is spent on resources like funding for the elderly, look at on crime, on reducing crime levels, making our areas safer and more secure, and also on for youth provision, giving the young people something to do positive. Yet again, another dog owner has done the right thing by wrapping and picking up the dog poo, but then they've just left it by a tree trunk because obviously they haven't got the brains to realise that that's still littering, and actually wrapping it in plastic bag that can take anything up to 10, 12, 15 years for it to decompose. It's going to cause more harm than the actual dog poo that they've allegedly cleared up. And if you're a dog owner out there and you're doing this, please don't. There are bins around. Some of the dog walkers I've spoken to have argued, well, there's not enough bins. But look, it's a little bag. You carry it, you're taking your dog there, carry it until you come past another bin. And look, we've got some fantastic waterways. Litter Up is launching an 8-week series of discussions about everything to do with litter, what it is, why people litter pick, and also the costs to society. I mean, look at this, you've got a bike in the river that needs pulling out. That's litter, of course. You've got plastic bottles, and we'll talk about types of litter in a bit and how long it takes for these sources of litter, types of litter, to degrade. And it's quite surprising and it's quite depressing, really. But obviously there are good news. There is lots being done that can actually prevent and tackle littering. And again, why don't you contact us in the comments and tell us your ideas or thoughts about litter, and maybe how it can be resolved, why people do it, and if in fact you do it, you know, let us know, and let us know what we can do to try and discourage you and be positive about things. Nice to see litter bins being used, probably abused a bit, because that's not litter. Someone's actually left that there to be, rather than sticking in the household waste or taking it to a tip. And of course, it's not nice to see cans and litter just around the outside of the bins. Yeah, you could argue the bin's full, so, but you could put that in there. It's probably been put in, to be honest, and fallen out. But why not take it home with you? People who dump litter by full bins are still classed as littering. So again, talking about other harmful and aspects of littering, look at the lovely wildlife here in Babbs Mill Nature Reserve. And you'll look around you, look in here, you'll see things like plastic ring pools, and believe it or not, those account for a lot of injuries to wildlife and birds. Fish can get wrapped up in them. Certainly birds, we've seen many fatalities through this. And these bits of plastic actually take up to 200 to 500 years to dissolve and degrade. So it really is a terrible problem, really. And look, we've got cans here. Goodness knows how old this can is. In fact, I'm going to have a look, see if we can see a date. If there's a date on the base. Can't quite make it out. So let's have a look. The date on this can. No, I can't make it out, but that's been in there for some time, because you can see it started to rust and corrode, and it takes a long time for a drinks can to degrade, and we'll talk about that later. Look, these bits of plastic, there's fishing line here and floats that have been washed up and dredged up that careless anglers or fishermen have left in there, and of course things like pens and straws. And you know, if you go out angling, fishing, fine, that's great, that's fine. But please, you know, protect the environment you're supposed to be you're enjoying. You know, please don't kill the fish. Please don't kill the birds in the process of your couple of hours of enjoyment. Hopefully you'd want to return, and you wouldn't want to return to somewhere that's been polluted and devoid of all fish because they're being killed and poisoned, would you? Well, hopefully not. Again, more plastic here from the bank of the Babbs Mill Lake. Again, all quite harmful stuff. There's even towels, and we see discarded clothing and jackets around here. This, I think, is too heavy to pull out at the moment. Yeah, someone sat here by the riverbank, probably fishing or just picnicking, and thought, oh great, what a lovely day, I've really enjoyed that, I'll have a nice cold beer while I'm doing it, and then I'll just toss it in the river or the lake, because, well, I don't know why they do it. So answers on a postcard, please. Coming down to the waterside to get a single crisp packet. And oh yeah, it's never just a single piece of litter, there's always more. So we're just up by a bench here, and this is something that frustrates the hell out of me as well. You'll see someone's left a bag of litter on the bench. On the positive side, and always being an optimist, I say, well, at least they put the bag in a nice tidy receptacle and left it on the bin. And they've done some litter picking, so that's good. But on the other hand, there's a bin less than 100 yards away, so why couldn't they just put it in the bin? I just got chatting to a youngish bloke who was fishing along the banks here a couple of minutes ago, and actually before I even started talking about litter, he told me he and his mates belong to a fishing club that are using this lake unofficially, and he spent the last few days going around this lake clearing up all the fishing pegs, which is great to hear. And I don't think he was saying it just for, you know, the show or the bravado. He didn't want to be filmed, as you can imagine. A lot of people don't like to be filmed these days, so but it does look a lot cleaner than it has done around here, but obviously it still needs a lot of work doing to it, but we'll get there. And it's about education as well, and this is what Litter Up is about. It's about getting us to think about and talk to each other about litter and what we need to do to tackle it, because like most complex problems, there's not a single simple solution to it, otherwise we wouldn't have it. So there's a number of issues. This is one of the other things. Look, these are bread wrappers, and again they're often from mothers and fathers that come down, bring their kids, and it's lovely to see them feeding the birds. Whether or not it's healthy to feed them too much white bread is another issue, but once they've finished feeding the birds, they just toss the some of them, a small minority of course, just toss the litter into the lake. Stop. Oh, look what's growing on these branches. Gotta watch so they don't flick back and get myself anything in my face. Unfortunately, the contents have long since fallen out. Why on earth they throw them if they think it's right to then toss them into the branch, and where people can walk by and see it for 10-15 years until the plastic eventually degrades and the dog poo then drops to the ground and then will naturally decompose.